The hidden struggles, 7 common behaviors in lonely women, and how to understand them psychologically. Loneliness can often be an invisible burden, especially for women who might not always show outward signs of their isolation. In a world where social connections are often equated with personal success and fulfillment, feeling alone can be deeply painful and disorienting. But the way loneliness manifests in behavior can vary greatly, often leading to unhealthy patterns of coping that only deepen the feeling of isolation. As psychologists continue to study the psychological impact of loneliness, it's clear that many women, when faced with prolonged isolation, develop specific behaviors to cope. These behaviors may not always be obvious, but they offer vital clues into the emotional and psychological struggles of loneliness. Here, we explore 7 common behaviors observed in lonely women, dive deep into the psychological reasons behind these actions, and offer solutions for breaking free from the cycle of isolation. 1. Seeking validation from others. The need for external affirmation. Loneliness can deeply affect a woman's self-worth, making her more vulnerable to seeking validation from external sources. Women who experience loneliness often find themselves desperate for confirmation that they matter or that they are loved. This need for external validation might manifest in people-pleasing behavior, an obsessive need for likes or comments on social media, or constantly seeking reassurance from friends, family, or romantic partners. Psychologically, this behavior stems from a lack of internal self-esteem and a fear of rejection. When loneliness sets in, the absence of emotional support from loved ones can leave a woman feeling invisible, and she may turn to others for external affirmations of her value. This need for validation, however, can lead to a vicious cycle. The more she seeks approval, the more dependent she becomes on it. Eventually, it erodes her sense of self, leaving her even more isolated. Breaking the cycle. Building self-worth from within is crucial to breaking this pattern. Women who find themselves seeking constant validation can start by practicing self-compassion and acknowledging their intrinsic value. It's important to set healthy boundaries with others and recognize that validation from within is far more empowering than seeking it externally. 2. Emotional detachment and withdrawal, the defense mechanism of isolation. For some women, the pain of loneliness is so overwhelming that they resort to emotional detachment as a means of coping. Instead of reaching out to others, they withdraw into themselves, building walls to protect their hearts from further disappointment or rejection. While this emotional withdrawal may offer temporary relief from feelings of vulnerability, it often leaves them feeling even more isolated and disconnected. Psychologists describe this emotional withdrawal as a defense mechanism. When trust has been broken or emotional needs haven't been met, detachment becomes a way to avoid further emotional pain. Women may keep themselves busy, emotionally distant, or reluctant to engage in deep relationships because they fear that opening up will expose them to more heartache. Breaking the cycle. The key to overcoming emotional withdrawal is allowing oneself to be vulnerable in safe, trusting environments. Therapy or talking to trusted friends can help break down emotional walls. It's important for lonely women to recognize that vulnerability is a strength and that emotional openness is essential for building healthy, meaningful relationships. 3. Overworking or overcommitting, the escapism of busyness. When loneliness becomes unbearable, some women turn to work or social commitments as a way to escape their feelings of emptiness. They immerse themselves in their careers, overcommit to social events, or take on excessive responsibilities at home or in their communities. This busyness acts as a distraction, keeping them from confronting their inner emotional turmoil. The more they do, the less time they have to feel lonely or to acknowledge their emotional needs. Psychologically, this pattern is a form of escapism. Overworking or overcommitting provides a temporary sense of control and accomplishment, giving them a false sense of purpose. However, this can ultimately lead to burnout, exhaustion, and an even deeper sense of isolation. The cycle of busyness prevents emotional healing, as it avoids confronting the deeper issues that contribute to loneliness. Breaking the cycle. The solution lies in finding balance. Taking time for self-care and establishing clear boundaries between work and personal life are essential. Women struggling with loneliness should practice saying no to unnecessary obligations and focus on activities that nourish their soul rather than drain their energy. Mindfulness practices and time spent in nature can also help restore a sense of inner peace. 4. A need for control, the fear of powerlessness. When loneliness leaves a woman feeling powerless, she may compensate by seeking to control her environment or relationships. The need for control can manifest in obsessive behaviors, such as micromanaging tasks or overly controlling others' actions. This is especially true in relationships, where a lonely woman may attempt to dictate terms or expectations in order to feel secure and protected from rejection. Psychologically, this behavior is a direct response to the instability that loneliness brings. When everything else feels uncertain or out of control, attempting to control the environment offers a temporary sense of safety. However, it also leads to frustration and tension, as the reality is that true emotional security comes from mutual trust and vulnerability, not from control. Breaking the cycle. To overcome the need for control, it's important for women to embrace uncertainty and learn to trust both themselves and others. Building trust in relationships and letting go of the need to micromanage can help reduce the anxiety that loneliness creates. It's also helpful to focus on personal development, cultivating resilience, and learning how to manage emotions without relying on controlling behaviors. 5. Increased sensitivity to criticism, the weight of negative feedback. A woman who is lonely may become hypersensitive to criticism or negative feedback, even if it is mild or constructive. This heightened sensitivity is often rooted in the belief that she is already inadequate or unworthy of love and attention. Psychologically, loneliness can lead to an amplification of negative self-talk, where the smallest criticism feels like a personal attack. This behavior can make social interactions difficult, as lonely women might withdraw or become defensive when they feel criticized. It can also create a cycle where the fear of criticism prevents them from fully engaging in social or professional situations, further reinforcing their sense of loneliness. Breaking the cycle. Overcoming this sensitivity begins with challenging negative self-beliefs. Women should practice self-affirmation and learn to reframe criticism as an opportunity for growth rather than a reflection of their worth. Developing emotional resilience through mindfulness and self-reflection can help reduce the emotional impact of criticism. 6. Escaping into fantasies or daydreams, the world of imagination. Lonely women may escape into their imaginations, creating elaborate daydreams or fantasies about relationships or scenarios that fulfill the emotional needs they feel are lacking in their real lives. These fantasies often involve idealized versions of love or friendship, offering a temporary sense of connection and comfort. While daydreaming can be a healthy form of escapism in moderation, excessive fantasizing can prevent women from engaging with their real-world relationships and responsibilities. Psychologically, this behavior is a way to create a sense of connection when real-world connections feel distant or unattainable. Breaking the cycle. To address this, women can practice grounding techniques that bring them back to the present moment. Engaging in activities that foster real connections, such as volunteering or joining a community group, can also help replace fantasy with genuine human interactions. Setting small, achievable social goals and seeking connection in everyday moments can help shift focus away from unrealistic fantasies. 7. Difficulty asking for help. The burden of self-reliance. One of the most common behaviors in lonely women is a reluctance to ask for help. Many women who feel alone fear burdening others with their emotional struggles, or they may believe that seeking help is a sign of weakness. As a result, they try to carry their emotional burdens alone, which only perpetuates the cycle of isolation. Psychologically, this behavior is often tied to societal expectations of women to be strong, self-sufficient, and nurturing. When a woman feels she is not living up to these expectations, she may internalize the belief that she should handle everything herself. However, this self-reliance often leads to exhaustion, burnout, and deeper loneliness. Breaking the cycle. Learning to ask for help is a vital step in breaking the cycle of loneliness. Women should practice reaching out to trusted friends, family members, or professionals for support. It's important to reframe asking for help as an act of strength, not weakness. Building a supportive network of people who offer emotional and practical support can help alleviate feelings of isolation and empower women to seek the help they need. Conclusion: overcoming loneliness and reclaiming connection. Loneliness doesn't have to be a life sentence. By understanding the psychological behaviors associated with loneliness, women can take proactive steps to break free from isolation and rebuild meaningful, fulfilling connections. Whether through self-awareness, professional help, or building supportive relationships, there are many paths toward healing and connection. By taking small, mindful steps toward building emotional resilience and fostering healthy relationships, women can move from loneliness to a sense of community and belonging. The key is to recognize that while loneliness may manifest in certain behaviors, these behaviors don't define you. They are simply signals that change is needed, and with the right tools, transformation is entirely possible.